From our bountiful seas to our endless shores, to our luscious green pastures, this is what feeds Nova Scotia, and it's all delicious. We forge on as two more of Canada's best chefs taste their way through the infinite maritime landscape, where Alexander Keats will throw an historic, exquisite kitchen party.
Cooking for me is my passion. It's the one thing I've always been really good at. People ask me every day, what's your favorite dish? And I never have an answer because whatever I'm cooking in that moment, at that time, that's my favorite dish. Montreal has some incredible products and some incredible farmers. We're so lucky to have the European influence. Tons of beautiful local bakeries, local butcher shops. You can really get to know the person that's selling you your product. At Restaurant Sue, we're very inspired by what we see at the market. And we love mixing local ingredients with international ingredients and coming up with dishes to really thrill anyone that walks into our restaurant. I'm so excited for this opportunity to discover the Atlantic Canada food scene.
When I was in Spain, I would go to the market every single day to see what came in that week, to see how the seasons are changing. I think walking through the stalls of an ethnic market is like being transported to a different country. Picking up, feeling, touching, looking, all of the exotic flavors and sights. It triggers off creativity. Spain taught me about the importance of simplicity. You're showcasing this natural product at its prime. That is what our goal is as chefs, is to take a beautiful ingredient and make it perfect. I think this is the greatest job in the world because it doesn't really feel like a job.
Where better to start this incredible journey than where the pillar of any good kitchen party is born.
Welcome to Nova Scotia and the historic Alexander Keats Brewery. I know you've traveled long ways to get here, and I assure you that it'll be well worth it. I know both of you have had your hands on the amazing fish and produce that we pride ourselves on in Nova Scotia. But we're so excited for you guys to meet the fishermen and the foragers that are changing the culinary landscape of the Canadian Maritimes. But before you guys cast off, let's raise a glass. I want to introduce you to Steve. He's the brewmaster here at Alexander Keats.
This brewery holds a very special place within the history of Halifax and Nova Scotia. And we're here to celebrate Alexander Keats' single hop series, Celia. So this is our Slovenian Celia hop, and that's what is providing the spice to our beer.
Wow, it's very floral, citrusy notes there.
Gentlemen, the latest edition, Alexander Keats Celia Hop Ale.
There's a beautiful peppery finish on the nose. Look at that beautiful caramel color.
Have fun on your adventures, get inspired, and I'll see you in a couple days at the kitchen party. Cheers to Nova Scotia. Sociable.
Sociable.
In a singular sanctuary, a man's unending passion courses through the Atlantic's gleaming waters, offering up the most wondrous pearls.
Hi, Chef Rob. Welcome to Sober Island. I'd like to show you what makes Sober Island Oysters so unique. What makes it so special is the pristine waters of the eastern shore of Nova Scotia. Comes in and purifies our bay here and right back to our coves. Flushes out the pond, gives a new nutrient back to the oyster. It takes about 5 years to grow, but it grows a nice, cold, hard shell, beautiful, plump oyster.
I've shucked about 20,000 oysters in my life and I've never actually picked them out of the ocean. I'm really excited for this.
You got the biggest one, definitely.
That's the size of my hand. And that's probably how many years?
Well, you can tell by the rings of the oyster. Oh, you're looking at about 8 years old in there.
8?
Definitely.
It's amazing how the oyster really looks like the water here too, doesn't it? It's got that nice green, fresh algae color to it.
Look at that. Here's a nice, beautiful, fresh soul-brown oyster.
Oh my God, that's really good.
Fresh, shell too.
It's gorgeous. It's just such a special thing to be able to pull out an oyster from the Atlantic Ocean and pop it and just... You really realize where things come from.
I'd like to show you our garden on water.
Garden on water, I like that. I've never heard that before. That's great.
We grow on the surface. It's a suspended culture oyster farm. And oysters growing on the surface the way we do it, there's a more nutrient supply. They'll feed off the algae in the water.
So that beautiful, pristine water that you have coming in off the Atlantic is so important for the flavor of these things, I imagine.
Oh,
Right?
definitely.
All right, cheers, buddy. Cheers. There you go. It's really buttery, isn't it? Has that really it's almost a thick creaminess to it. A lot of love goes into these things. You can really taste all of the hard work that you put into this and the surroundings.
There are little babies. There are little babies, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Rob. You're welcome.
Far from supermarket shelves, a picturesque stroll proves that delicious, forageable life awaits in the most unexpected of places.
Welcome to Nova Scotia. This is one of my favorite places in the whole province. You can eat so much stuff that is just coming out of the ground. What we're looking at here, the beach pea, which is a halophile. That means a thing that loves salt. All these plants around here, they're close to the ocean. They get that salt from the air. So tender. This is the perfect time of the year to eat these.
Wow, that is absolutely delicious. It has an amazing snap to it, like a pea as well. I never would have known there's all this delicious stuff to eat just walking around in the wilderness.
Chef, this is one more thing I wanted you to taste while we were out here. Seaweed, aquatic grass. Can't get closer to the ocean than this without getting wet. It spends as much of its time in the water as out, and all these little pods are filled up with that briny Atlantic goodness.
The texture is incredible. It's salty, briny, it tastes like the ocean. It tastes like a caper. It brings the meaning of seasonality to a whole nother level. It's not just eating food in season, it's eating food in the moment.
All right, Chef, I wanted to take you somewhere completely different. Now we're back in the city, right next to Halifax Harbor. We're away from the fog. We got some sun. This is urban foraging. We are gonna do some invasive oring. We're eating the invasive species, the weeds that no one wants, but they have a ton of culinary uses. They're delicious. What we're looking at here, Chef, is Japanese knotweed, also known as wild rhubarb. And like rhubarb, what we're eating is the stem rather than the leaves.
What a powerful flavor. It's fruity, but there's some herbaceousness to it. Has a great texture, great snap. Not bad for a weed.
It's amazing the taste you can find in waste places.
People don't want to use it, but it tastes delicious and there's so much great stuff we can do with it.
The thing I love about foraging, Chef, I find food on the seashore, in a city park, next to the train tracks. We can find food everywhere.
Here we are, in one of Halifax's treasured historical sites. For one of Nova Scotia's most hallowed traditions, the kitchen party. Guys, we've got some great chefs cooking beautiful food. Let's raise our Keats and toast our chefs. From Sioux Restaurant in Montreal, Quebec, Dan Geltner. From Marvin Restaurant in Toronto, Ontario, Rob Bragagnolo. Chefs, the party's yours. Chef Rob, what are you making for us today?
So I got Nova Scotia lobster that's glazed in a lobster roe butter. We have green asparagus, confit buttermilk potatoes, sliced spicy red radish, and then I got a buttermilk sauce that I put on top of it.
Man, it looks gorgeous. These guys are gonna love it.
That's awesome, thank you. Next I have freshly shucked oysters from Sober Island, served with warm lobster and seaweed butter. The idea is that you use the entire lobster. The salad has the beautiful succulent meat, and the oyster has the lobster essence.
You guys want some lobster? All right, chef, tell me about your dish.
This is reverse deviled eggs with Solomon Gandhi. Solomon Gandhi is a traditional Halifax, Nova Scotia dish, which is pickled herring with red onions. Then I did clams and pepperoni. I took the beautiful local steamer clams. I steamed them with the Salea beer from Alexander Keats. I added some local pepperoni, beautiful forage herbs. I added caviar into that because everybody loves caviar. And then I roasted some lemons over the fire just to finish off with a nice fresh brightness.
That sounds amazing.
Sober Island is a really magical place, man. We were plucking oysters right out of the ocean. Best oyster I've ever eaten in my life.
That is a delicious oyster. Rob layered like seaweed with butter and lobster all on top of the oyster. You really get the essence of the sea. And these are Sober Island oysters that are some of the best oysters in the world. Wow, that's a great dish. This is Chef Dan's dish. Wow, getting a little bit of that lemon pepper from the beer, which is fantastic with the clams. A little bit of spiciness from that pepperoni too. It's a fantastic dish. Nice job, Dan. So we've all got one of these, and you've had some amazing food. So it's time to vote for your favorite chef. Let's raise a glass. Sociable.
Stay tuned to find out which one of these amazing chefs is joining us in Montreal, where Alexander Keats is throwing the biggest kitchen party yet.